All right, just wanted to go over the test so that you'll be ready for the retest. So our first question was this pentagonal prism. And the first question it says is how many faces? So a face is a flat surface. So if you look at your faces, you've got this front flat face, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7. So we have 7 faces. Edges. Your edges are your basically your segments, what creates it. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we have 15 edges. And then your vertices are your corners, or where your edges come together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 vertices. Okay, so faces, you're looking for flat surfaces. Edges, you're looking for the segments where the planes come together. And then your vertices, you're looking for where your segments come together, your corners. What shape is created by the intersection of a vertical plane through the upright cone? So vertical plane is up and down. So if I slice through this cone vertically like this, it's going to create this triangle. So a triangle would be what is created by the vertical plane. If I had asked about a horizontal plane, then it would look something like this, and it would cross through, and you would have a circle. So that would be a horizontal plane, would give you the circle. But because it was in this case, the vertical plane. Now again, your questions may be different depending on which version of the test that you had. But you can adjust all of these concepts to fit your problem. So the volume of the rectangular prism, the formula for volume for a prism is the area of the base times the height, or probably what you're more familiar with a rectangular prism is length times width times height. So in this case, you would take 11 times 6 times 1.5. And you would get 99. So it's 99 inches cubed is the volume of this prism. So lateral area and surface areas of a cylinder. If you look up your formulas, your lateral area is 2 pi RH. So we take 2 times pi times the radius. So the radius is half the diameter. So that's 23 over 2, which is 11.5. So times 11.5 times the height, which is 28. So 2 times pi times 11.5 times 28, and you get 2023.186. We carry out a few decimal places. Then that's your lateral. So if I want my surface area, I need to add the top circle and the bottom circle. So I'm going to add plus 2 pi r squared, add 2 circles. So what you can do is just keep the number that was on your calculator before, and then add 2 times pi times 11.5 squared, 2 pi r squared. And you get that your surface area is 2,854, and it said to the nearest tenth, so 0.13 becomes 0.1, and that would be square yards. Okay, surface area of a globe. The equation for the surface area of a globe is 4 pi r squared. So we have 4 times pi times the radius, which is 11 squared. So 4 times pi times 11 squared. Type that into your calculator, and you get 1,520.5308, and it says to round to the nearest tenth, so you would 1,520.5. You want to round to one decimal place, you look one number behind it, the 3 doesn't touch it, so it stays 0.5. The volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. That's where you have to be careful, is that cubed. So it would be 4/3 pi times 5.5 cubed. And you can type it in your calculator just like that. 4 divided by 3 times pi times 5.5 to the third power. And you get 696.9. It says round to the nearest tenth. It was 0.9099, and the 90, the O is going to leave it alone, so it would be and that would be yards cubed. So be careful with that cubed, and then be careful to be sure to divide by 3. And you can handle that by just typing in 4 divided by 3 right at the beginning. So number 7, the volume of the pyramid below. So the volume of a pyramid, if you look it up on your formula chart, is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. Well, the base is a square. So the area of the base is 20 times 20, which is 400. So it's 1/3 the area of the base times the height, and that's your perpendicular height, which is 10.5. So 400 times 10.5 divided by 3 is 1400. You could also do 1 divided by 3 times 400 times 10.5 if you're bad about remembering to divide by 3. So don't forget that divide by 3. The surface area of a cone, your lateral area, if you look up that formula, it's pi RL. So that'd be pi times R. R would be 8.5. Times L, which is your slant height, 23.6. So pi times 8.5 times 23.6, and you get 630.2. Now just keep that number in your calculator, because now what you're going to do is add the base, which is pi r squared, and we already said that r is 8.5, so pi r squared. So we're just going to hit plus pi times 8.5 squared, and you get 857.18, which rounds to 0.2, and that would be kilometers squared for your surface area. Number 9, the volume of the figure below, we have half a sphere and we have a full cone. So we need to find the volume of the cone. So the volume of a cone is 1/3 the area of the base times the height, or 1/3 pi r squared, that's the base is a circle, times the height, which is 20. So if we do 1 divided by 3 times pi times 6 squared times 20, we get that the volume of the cone is 753.982. And I'm going to just keep those there for a minute. We'll come back and deal with that in just a second. Now we need the volume of the sphere, and it's actually half a sphere. So let's start with the whole sphere, 4/3 pi r cubed. So 4 divided by 3 times pi times r cubed, so 6 to the 3rd power, and you get 904.78. Now, that's for the whole sphere, but I only had half a sphere, so now hit divided by 2, and you get 452. See, where you have to be careful here is wanting to add the cone and the sphere together and then divide by 2 at the end. You don't want to do that. But you could type in 1 divided by, so you could type it all in like this all at one time. 1 divided by 3 pi r squared times 20 plus 4 divided by 3 pi r cubed divided by 2. You could type it in like that, and it will handle it. And so then you can take that 753.982, and you can add that 452.38, and you get 1206.37, which would round to 0.4. Okay, number 10, a cube has a volume of 64 inches cubed. That should be cubed. If you double the length, okay, so we started with a volume of 64 inches cubed. If you double the length, that means that your side ratio is 1 to 2. So your side ratio is 1 to 2. So your sides get multiplied by 2. Now, we don't have our area here, but our area would be 1 to 2 squared, which would be 1 to 4. And our volume will be 1 to 2 cubed, which would be 1 to 8. And the easiest way to think of that is your units of measurement. Look at those units of measurement. It's square, or it's cubed, excuse me. So you take your original volume, 64, and you multiply it. So this is your multiplier, right? Times 8. So you just take 64 and you multiply it by 8, and that gets you your new volume, which is 512 inches cubed. Now, on the bonus, what you wanted to do is you wanted to find the volume of all the balls. So if you want to find the volume of the balls, they're spherical, so it's 4/3 pi r cubed, and the radius was 5 in this case. So 4/3 pi r cubed. That gives me 523.599, and I'm going to multiply that by 8. There are 8 balls in that box. So the volume of the balls is 4188.79. So if you got that, what you found was the volume of the balls. But what it's asking for is the volume that's inside, like the space around the balls. Well, here's the important part. This is what you needed, the information you needed for that. Is if the radius is 5, then the distance across, or the diameter, is 10, and that's 10. Well, the balls just touch the side, which means the base is 20. The diameter that direction is also 10, so the height of the box is 10. And then the depth of the box, because the diameters are the same all the way down, then it would be 10 times 4, which would be 40. So the volume of the box is length times width times height, which is 8,000. So if you take 8,000 and subtract your previous answer of 4188.8, then you get 3811.2 is the volume of the space inside the box around the balls. Okay, big thing is using your formulas. Make sure you know how to use them, and be careful when you use them. Write them down and then substitute in all your numbers.